Hello guys, today we're going to have a different type of video again. This time I'm going to try and talk about different aspects of the model making and kind of compare my videos to other guys' videos and kind of see what's the best way to do it. And hopefully when I do this, you guys will comment in the comments and let us know if you have seen better videos with different mechanisms. Videos that explain really well how they're done, because we want to build up knowledge of the models more than just what I've done, so it's always good to get some new ideas. So we'll start off with my excavator here. As you can see, I have my N20 motors. They're still exposed, haven't really haven't made much progress since this video, and this was the last time it was out really. But the output of my N20 motors goes to a little brass bit of tubing there, and on the end is soldered an M3 nut. So the motor spins the brass tube, and threaded into the nut here is a little section of M3 threaded bar that's connected to the different parts of the model. So when the motor spins, it threads that bar in and out to do the linear actuator. The thread on the threaded bar, being M3, is quite fine, so you have quite a slow movement from the excavator. Probably if you used an imperial thread, you probably can still get them. It'd be very easy to get them in America, obviously, but probably be quite difficult maybe to get threaded bar that small in Europe. But that would leave your model running a little bit faster if you could get that. And another way to do it is to use a drill bit. For example, a masonry drill bit would have quite a coarse thread, so if you kind of connected that into another tube, you could use that as your threaded bar. It's not so easy. You can't just get a nut to fit over the masonry drill bit, so it's a little bit more tricky that way, but that's a very common way of doing it. So that's my excavator. You've all seen it plenty of times now, so let's compare it to some other YouTubers' attempts at making excavators, and some of them are very good. They hide the motors really well. So here's a good example of how to make an RC excavator. He has his screw drives very well hidden here. It looks to be the same idea to me. He seems to have a drive motor down here, maybe they're N20 motors. He's encased them in possibly a little brass cowling. Then I'd imagine this outer tube is just to give the impression of a cylinder, just to make it look good. I'd say connected to the output of the motor is probably a masonry drill bit that's running up the inside of this inner shaft here, and I'd imagine that's threaded into that so that it can lift the arm up and down. It's the same idea as mine, but because the masonry bit is more of a coarse thread, it's going to be a little bit faster and a little less power. It's a pretty good model. See, lights, nice LED lights there. It's a very nice beacon. Looks like the lights kind of flashing around in a circle. And as you can see, his actuators, his little linear actuators, are very good there. So make sure to check through his videos. Here's a good one to watch. It's where he goes through the different parts of the model, so you can see how he gets the signal wires through using a headphone jack. That's a good idea. His wires nice and tidy in there, not too noticeable. Limit switches, very small. That's quite a tricky job to do. So everything is there, and I would imagine he doesn't use a Arduino like I do, so maybe he talks about his electronics there somewhere, but make sure and take a look through his videos. They're pretty good. So screw drives is a very common way, and it's probably the stronger way to do it, but it's a little bit more complicated, and that can be a bit off-putting for some people, especially because you need to add motor drivers for your motors, and you need to add limit switches, because there's no limiting controls, there's no proportional control. Well, you would have proportional speed control, but you wouldn't have distance control if you just had your motor and your screw drive. You'd need to add in some limit switches, and like my model, I've had a few times I've no limit switches on my model, so when the motor's maybe reach the end of the threaded bar, they can just screw the end off the threaded bar that's connected to the excavator, just because the motors are much stronger than the solder joints. So the easier alternative to the screwdrive method is to use some servos, and I'm looking on Peter Dunkel RC, that's the YouTube channel, and it looks like he goes around to different shows in Europe and records the RC models in action. So this is an example here that he's recorded of a model using servos. So we can see here there's a connecting rod. This is a very common way of doing this. It's a connecting rod going back to a large servo that's hidden in the back of the model here, and that large servo then is pulling the whole weight of the boom up here. It's generally very difficult to lift the boom of an excavator because you have so much leverage from, well, you're connected here, you're pivoting about here, but if the whole boom is extended and you're lifting something, like here he's lifting some logs, which is probably pretty light, but if you had a big bucket on there and you were lifting a load of gravel, it'd be very, very heavy. Well, it looks like this is a very light model. I have a feeling this is probably a plastic model, because it looks like that weight there is enough to lift the back of the model here. But the point I was trying to make is that the boom, the material that you have your boom made out of, might also be a big factor in whether you go for servos or you go for screwdrives. Screwdrives, because they have more power, are generally better suited to the die cast excavators. With the plastic excavators, you can get away with servos to, well, you can get much more satisfying results when you use servos in a plastic model compared to when you use them in a die cast model. So common practice is to put a really big servo in the back of the model here. You'll weigh it down a bit at the back. That helps to counteract the weight of the boom. Then you put your connecting rod over somewhere on the boom. The higher up you put it, the more leverage you have to pull the boom up. So that's another good thing, but obviously it becomes quite noticeable. Then you can see he has his other servos here and here. And if we can see the other point during the video, or the other side of the boom I mean, we'll see that the connecting rod from the lever arm on the servo will be moving back and forth on the other side of the boom. So now we can see the other side of the boom, and there is the lever arm. He's painted everything green, and as you can see, it's hidden it quite well. His little connecting rod is coming along down the side of his fake cylinders here. You probably would want to drill out the fake cylinders a little bit if that's what you want to do, if you're going to leave them on the model, because generally they are designed to be tight so that it can hold the boom in position. So you probably want, if you're going to leave the fake cylinders there, you probably want to drill out this lower section a little bit to let this move freely up and down. But as you can see, once you paint your servos green, they're not hugely noticeable. You'd have to look very closely. Another nice feature he has, but it's kind of hard to see, he looks to have little springs from like a pen covering over his wiring here for his servos. And look, he even has a servo connector there. I'll just pop back. You can see he has a small servo connector just hidden in here. It's painted green. If that was unplugged, you wouldn't even notice it. So it's really good design there. And there's the springs. It's kind of hard to see, but he has the springs covering over the wires, which is very similar to what you might see on a real excavator, where they have they're not springs, they're just protective coverings for the hoses, particularly on parts that would be disconnected, because they've a greater chance of bouncing against the arm, so they'd wear more. So they put these they look like big springs, but they're not springs, over the pipes, just to protect them from that constant rubbing, so that the pipes don't burst. But he's done it very nicely there, I think, on the model. You can see the weight of the boom. He's not lifting a huge weight there, but it's having a big impact on the back of the boom. I think in one of my videos I added a lot of lead into the back of my excavator to counteract that, so you probably would have seen that at some point. That's how I tried to deal with it, because I'm working with a die cast boom, and even that is a huge weight, and like you can see here, it ends up tipping over quite a bit. So make sure to check out Peter Dunkel RC. It's a good YouTube channel to have a look at some videos from various model shows in Europe. I think watching the videos from the model shows is generally the best way to get ideas for different models, because you know, you tend to see a lot more variety at the shows than if you just watch one guy's channel, like my channel, all the time. So all these guys have their own little ways of doing things, their own little tricks that can all help you to come up with your own design for your RC models. So that's all I wanted to talk about in this video. The kind of idea of this series is to kind of take an aspect of a model and look at how different guys have done it. So this one was obviously the linear actuators on an excavator. Maybe I'll do the connection of the wires between the bottom half and the bottom half of an excavator in future, or maybe I'll take a look at different tractors. If you have some videos that you want to, or you want me to look at or talk about in this kind of series, leave them in the comments, or let me know about them, and I'll try and use them all if I can see a way to use them. In the meantime, you can always take a look at the RC Machinery in Action playlist, which is on my YouTube channel, if you want to get some more ideas of how to do things. So obviously any of my videos where my models are being used are there. We also have some videos from the Munidara Farm and Agri Contractors, so make sure and check out their videos. They use CQ Control 32 models, so they're not modified, but they have some brilliant dioramas, so you can get some good ideas for how to set up a farm scene or something like that, or how to do fencing and how to make fields that you can plough, stuff like that. You can really get an idea. Also, Siku Corleone, he does some brilliant scenery, and also he has lots of customized farm equipment, different trailers, different tractors that he's modified. I think he uses the CQ Control 32 controls themselves for his models, but you'll also notice a lot of his trailers use things like winches using N20 motors. So that's the RC Machinery in Action playlist, so you can take a look through lots of different examples of things. There's a good one there, CQ Corleone with his forage harvester that's picking up the grass and blowing it into the trailer. All of that sort of stuff should give you some ideas on how you can modify your own equipment. If you have any suggestions for videos that we can add here, or I can talk about in the next episode of this series, maybe let me know in the comments, because it'll all help me to make my models and help you guys to make your models as well. It's good to share all the different ideas that there are out there. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure and hit the like button and share the video and all that stuff. And if you have any comments or suggestions, let me know below the video. And that's pretty much everything, so thanks very much for watching.